Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Confessions of a Gaming Mum. So the video today, as you've probably already seen when you clicked on the video, if you have clicked on the video then thank you, is about our month of doing Veganuary and how we got on with it, how we felt about it and stuff like that. I thought I'd just give a general overview because I did a couple of videos a couple of weeks back, like how we were getting on each week and things, but I didn't really go into too much detail, so I thought I'd sort of give like a general overview about how we got on with it and what we're doing now and if it's changed our habits and things like that. So yeah, so I'll start with why we did it and what sort of motivated us to try Veganuary. Basically, we had slowly started phasing out sort of meat and animal products anyway from our diet. One, because I think we just wanted to mainly see if it helped with our health, but also to try and change our habits while our son was young, so that when he's that bit older he doesn't see like meat and animal products as something that you have to have all the time. So like you can have like a vegetable pasta and you don't have to have cheese with it, or you don't have to have your regular meat and 2 veg with every meal and just stuff like that. So just so he gets a bit more variety. So I thought if we start now then it gets our bad habits out of the way, so it's just a way then that he grows up so he knows there is just plenty of choice out there food wise. So we started doing that basically from when he was born, and because I was breastfeeding and he had quite bad trapped wind when he was when I was in the first couple of months of his life, like the first 3 months he had it quite bad, and I wondered if he had a dairy intolerance, so I basically cut out as much dairy as I could from my diet. It made no difference, I think he was just a windy baby, but because we made that jump anyway, I mean I tried it before because I've always suffered really with IBS since I was at college. I had a lot of stressful time, like it was a stressful time in my life at that point, and I think it triggered my IBS. So ever since then, every so often it just rears its head at just really inopportune moments. Because I did suffer a lot with a bloated stomach, I thought that it might again be a lactose intolerance. So I'm talking a couple of years ago now. So I did try to cut out dairy, but there wasn't a milk that I could really, or like a plant-based milk that I could really settle on. But while we were doing Veganuary, we actually discovered the milk Oatly. Still quite expensive considering the soya milk that we were on, which was the supermarket's own version of soya milk, was like half the price. But it's so superior in terms of flavour, and also oat milk is used, I think it's a lot more environmentally friendly than soy milk is. So again, another reason why we wanted to do it is because obviously you have the whole thing of being good for the environment, or it's meant to be better for the environment if you eat less meat, eat less animal products and stuff. So, and again, it's another thing that we want our son to grow up with, like leading by example. So we want him to be more like environmentally conscious, and we want him to think about like the impact he's having on the environment and on the planet and stuff like that. So we like try to recycle as much as possible. We try to use as little plastic as possible in all our products and like the food that we buy and stuff. Sometimes obviously it's unavoidable because of the way supermarkets are, but we do try, like I tend to, if we buy, or when we buy fruit and veg from the supermarket, I always try and buy the veg or fruit and veg that is loose, rather than just something that's just wrapped in plastic the whole time. So yeah, we try and do things like that. Again, it's just so it becomes a habit with us now, so our son just grows up with it just being the norm. So yeah, it's numerous reasons why we wanted to try it, and like I said, most of it is because we're just trying to give our son just the better start in life, and just to lead, like I said, lead by example really. So when we actually started it was quite difficult at first, because even though, like I said, we'd tried to cut out a lot of, well, we'd cut out mostly dairy. Like I said, we'd already been on plant-based milk for a good few months before we did Veganuary anyway, but we still had like dairy yogurts and cheese and things like that. They were like the things we had to change. We've always had, or we've had for a good while now, dairy-free butter, so that's never really been an issue. But yeah, it was just things like yogurts and cheeses and those sort of things that we still had. But yeah, I think it was quite difficult just trying to change the general habits. Like I said, everyone's always used to like the meat and 2 veg sort of thing. Yeah, my first full weekly shop, just trying to think of what to do for food. Yeah, it proved to be quite difficult at first. Just like I said, just changing that mindset that we have to have these sort of set things within our food. But I found it quite successful in terms of, I just looked at the recipes or the meals that I really liked and just took the meat out of them, and like any other animal products like eggs or butter or cream or whatever. And just to see if that worked, and a lot of it was successful. So I've learned how to make a lentil spaghetti bolognese, which is absolutely delicious. I've made my favourite has to be a 5-bean chili, and it's actually proved quite popular. My mum absolutely loves it, so I make that every week. I've also taught myself how to make a decent curry, because and again, these are things that I've always wanted to do, but it's just, I think, having to do this challenge pushed me that little bit that I needed to actually try these things. So yeah, I've learned how to make a really good curry. We have like it's either sweet potato and lentil curry, or I do it with chickpeas and butternut squash, and both are absolutely delicious. Once you get the sauce right, it's both absolutely amazing and really filling. And I think that's what I found as well. You have to find these recipes that make you not miss meat. I think that's a lot of the problem. People think that they'll just miss meat if they have these things. And like I said, with a 5-bean chili, it's just so filling that you wouldn't miss the meat. And like with the curry as well, you just have so much in there, you just don't miss it. Like I said, because people are used to having like the meat and 2 veg meals like in their like sort of day-to-day food. They just think, oh, I'll just do like I'll buy plant-based sausages, or I'll buy like corn sort of chicken nuggets and like more chicken nuggets and things like that. And while those are good as like replacements for those like quick and easy things, you can't rely on that sort of stuff. If you're gonna go for like a whole month of being vegan, it's just not the right way to do it. It's not healthy, and to be honest, a lot of the stuff doesn't taste right. Like, to me, I'm just not a big fan of the vegan burgers. And some of them, like I had one from Iceland. I know a lot of people they praise a lot of their vegan stuff, but I tried their pulled pork vegan burgers, and they were just so rubbery and they just had no flavour, and yeah, I just weren't impressed with them at all. So a lot of the meat supplements or like meat replacements, I'm just not a big fan of. Although I have to say, I do love, there's some plant-based sausages that I've tried that's like, we have them in like either for like, if we have a cooked breakfast, we'll have them, or we'll have like a sausage sandwich and we'll have the plant-based sausages, and those are really nice. So it's nice to have as like a one-off. And I do a pasta sauce, like a spicy pasta sauce, and I used to have chicken and mozzarella in it, but I've taken those out, so I just have the plant-based meatballs in them. And they're not so bad. It doesn't taste as good as it did obviously before, but it's still nice. So it's not, like I said, it's not really missed in this household, and my son loves them all as well. So yeah, it's not been too bad. I haven't tried anything in terms of baking yet, but then I've never really been much of a baker. We did try, cause I think that was the biggest hurdle as well. One was obviously the main meals, because breakfast I was having cereal or toast anyway. Lunches we were having vegan, like chicken slices or whatever. I was having like I said, I was having cheese on toast, so I had to change to vegan cheese to see what that was like, which I didn't like at first, but then after a few weeks of having it, I actually I've become accustomed to the taste now, and I actually don't mind it. I actually think it's quite nice. So the main thing was just changing the main meals. So, and now like with dessert as well, because we used to have yogurts after our meal, and we have coconut yogurts. We started off with the plain ones, and they weren't very creamy and they didn't have a lot of flavour. Very weak sort of coconut flavour. But we found strawberry ones of the same make of coconut yogurt, but with strawberry, and they're absolutely delicious. And they're really low in fat, so they're just as good as sort of the dairy yogurts we were having before, so we found them as a really nice replacement. But yeah, it was the main meals and also breakfast that my husband took to work, because originally he'd take some boiled eggs and that would fill him up till lunchtime. Originally we tried I found a recipe for spinach frittatas, which is because he's a big fan of spinach. I found these like tofu frittatas and he absolutely loved them, but the problem was it was just so much faff with the tofu. So I was just desperate to try and find something else that we could do, and I found another recipe for oat bars, vegan oat bars, and that does them for the week. It's got like nuts and seeds and fruit, dates, absolutely everything in it, like dried coconut and stuff, and he absolutely loves them. And again, they are super filling, and they'll just keep him going till the morning, and then when he has his lunch, he's ready for his lunch sort of thing, so he's not got hunger pangs like mid-morning sort of thing. And they're a lot less faff, so that's kind of like my baking experience. But again, it's just they're relatively easy to make. It's just a lot of ingredients you have to put together, so obviously it's more faff than just sticking some eggs on the hob sort of thing, but it's a lot less faff than the tofu stuff, and I don't mind making them. It's actually quite fun to make the oat bars, so just a lot of washing up afterwards. But again, that's sort of like where we've it's like I said, it's just adapting the sort of things that we had before. So I found it quite easy. So like I said, I did a meat-free meatball pasta. I've got the curry now that we absolutely love. The 5-bean chili is absolutely amazing, and then it tends to be the spag bowl, like I said, the lentil spag bowl, because it's lovely, but I've only made it a couple of times and it's been a bit hit and miss. I think I need to put my own twists on things. I changed the recipe around a bit to make it how I like it. Once I got that, it's actually really easy to make. And there's another recipe I keep on meaning to make, but because it's new and it's a bit complicated, it's with jackfruit as well, and I've never cooked with jackfruit, so I keep putting it off, but I really want to make it to see how I get on with it and to see if we like it, because then obviously it adds another vegan meal to the menu for the week sort of thing. But I think because we've got those staples, it was quite easy then to make it our routine and become habits. So now if we were to try and go back to having meat again, it would again mess up our routine and habits and stuff. So I think we would find it quite weird. So so we're more than happy to keep things as they are at home, and then just see how we get on in terms of going out for food and stuff like that. Like, I think people just think that with vegan food, because you don't have meat and you don't have dairy, you don't have eggs and things like that, that you're going to miss out on a lot of flavours, and you really don't. It's like I said, for me the 5-bean chili is just so flavourable, because you can get vegan chocolate and you put that in with the chili, and it just adds so much sort of texture, it adds creaminess to it. It's just absolutely beautiful. So it's the kind of thing of like, don't knock it till you try it. I just honestly think people really need to try this sort of stuff. Again, the curry, you don't miss like the chicken or whatever, because you just have like, you've got so much stuff in there that, especially if you cook with lentils as well, because they're quite stodgy, so it just really fills you up. So yeah, so it's I think it's only when people try like really lazily to add, like I said, the meat replacements, that people are like, oh, but it doesn't taste like meat, therefore it's really disappointing. I think people need to be a bit more creative with how they explore the whole meat-free and plant-based lifestyle. So yeah, that proved to be quite successful. In terms of how we felt while we were doing Veganuary, my husband has said he feels a lot better, in terms of, because he's quite I'm gonna say he's quite active. He's not that active, it's just that when he travels to and from work, he's part of the rat race, so he has to obviously have his London walk on to make sure he catches the train, and to run up the stairs to make sure he doesn't miss the train or whatever. And he feels that he's not getting out of breath, he's not sort of like getting into such a sweat that he did before. He's actually feeling like a lot healthier. His stomach is feeling a lot healthier. He's not getting like heartburn or anything like that as much and things like that. And he's also lost, I think, about 1/2 stone in the month of Veganuary. In terms of myself, however, I haven't really felt any different. Although I have to say, because since Veganuary I have had a bit of meat and I've had a bit of dairy and things like that, and when I have had it, how full I feel feels a lot different. So like when I have that, I keep going back to the 5-bean chili, but to me it's the best example because it's just so nice. When I have the 5-bean chili, like I said, there's a lot of it, because if you think that's 5 tins of beans you're putting into just one dish, so you get a lot of it, and obviously with the rice and everything, and you feel stuffed afterwards. Like, you do feel really full, but you don't feel sluggish, and you don't feel like bloated, or that you need to go for a nap because you need to digest all this food. You don't feel like that. It's a good feeling of full. And like I said, since having like meat, after that, I felt really sluggish, like I'm really struggling to stay awake, and it's not a good feeling of full, like I'm just really bloated and stuff like that. So it's kind of encouraging me that trying to stay as plant-based as possible is probably the better route for me in that sense, in terms of just my digestion in general, because like I said, I've suffered from IBS for quite a few years now. So I do think it helps me with that. In terms of weight loss, I think I lost 2 pounds like in the first week, so I was like, brilliant, this is really good. But I think that was more because I was not eating all the stuff, because obviously I overindulged over Christmas, so I think it was just the Christmas weight I was losing. And then I lost that 2 pounds, and then over the space of another 2 weeks I lost another 2 pounds. But then I gained another 2 pounds on, so it's not really been a case of weight loss for me. Like I said, in fact, I don't really feel like it's made much of a difference health-wise for me. I'm a lot more active in terms of, because obviously I'm running around after a toddler all day. I've got all the housework to do and things like that. I go out for walks with him, and I'm trying to get out every Sunday, although at the moment, because of the bloody storms we've been having the last few weekends, I've not been able, like the runs have been called off, but I'm trying to get into weekly runs or like twice a week runs. But yeah, I haven't felt that sort of health kick. I felt better psychologically in terms of knowing that I'm making that little bit of a difference by not having a dead animal on my plate. But yeah, I've not felt that much of a difference. And I feel the whole weight loss thing as well with me, it's because of the meals that I've been doing. It's a lot of carbs. And I've found with myself, personally, over the years where I've struggled with my weight, I've done the Atkins, and I've done another one, I can't think of the name of it right now, but it was similar to Atkins, but with Atkins it was, you could eat as much protein as you like, didn't matter about the fat or anything like that, you could just eat all of it. This other one, it's a Dukan diet. That was the one, I think I did it years ago. I think it was like about 10 years ago now that I did it, and I lost so much weight on it, and it was all about eating the right meat and the right proteins and the right carbs. So it wasn't just all eat meat, but I think it was mainly protein based. And like I said, because I've always had that sort of bloating, it's like I'll start the day off with a relatively flat stomach, but then by the end of the day I look like I'm pregnant. It's always been something that I've always really struggled with, and I found eating protein actually helped to get rid of that. And like I said, it helped me lose a lot of weight. And again, 10 years ago I was also a lot more active, because I did pole fitness as well, so that was a lot of that really helped me to burn the fat and gain muscle and stuff like that. And I think that's, again, it's something, because we've only just started with the whole vegan thing. The meals that I've been trying it's all sauce based, and it's all it's carb full. It's like there's not really a lot of protein that's going into it. So I think that's my problem, because it's just all rice and pasta and breads and things like that. So I think what I need to do is maybe just try and introduce a lot more protein into it, but obviously plant-based protein, and just try and work it out that way, because obviously the way I'm doing it right now is not good for me in terms of the weight that I need to lose, because my weight loss and gain is just, it's level. I'm not, if anything, it's like I'm gaining then losing, gaining then losing, and it's always like 0.4 of a pound and things like that. So it's not really doing much. Even with the run and being more active, it's just the weight's not shifting. So I think I just need to really try harder to figure things out and to see what actually works for me, because like I said, it's just, I'm just so, I think our diet is just so carb heavy at the moment. It's just not doing me any favours. So that's something that I really need to look into. But like I said, I haven't really suffered with my IBS, but I think my IBS is mainly triggered by stress, and because I haven't really had anything stressful going on in my life other than trying to restrain a toddler and then smashing the TV and things like that, it's not like my IBS hasn't really reared its ugly head, so to speak. I've not felt bloated, I've not felt sluggish or anything like that. I've not felt tired after eating. I just have general tiredness because, like I said, I've got a very active life running around after a toddler, so that's more to do with it than anything. But yeah, I mean, that's all I've really got to say on that, I think, in terms of like the health-wise. I think the final point I think I wanted to talk about is the value for money in terms of how we found it financially when it comes to Veganuary. We actually found it quite an expensive month, but I think that is because it's still sort of like a learning curve for us. So, and a lot of the stuff I was buying new stuff, so I was buying a lot of spices and a lot of herbs and stuff that I've never really used before. I've used in the past but haven't used for ages, so it's getting to grips with that. But you'll find as well that, again, I think when people try to do it the lazy way, so they're like, oh, I'll just get vegan burgers or I'll get plant-based sausages and things like that. When you do it that way, it can prove to be expensive, because obviously these versions, these sort of products will be a lot more expensive than the normal cheap meat that you get, because it's such a wide variety and it's such a more volatile market, so to speak. You're going to find more cheaper options out there, while because plant-based stuff is a lot more niche, you're going to find that they are going to be that little bit expensive. But saying that, like, you see so many different varieties of plant-based sausages out there now. Like, you've got such a like wide pick now that we can have. We've tried 2 different types. We've tried Naked Glory, which were absolutely delicious, and we shop at Morrison's, and Morrison's own vegan sausages are, again, absolutely delicious. Either one of them, you wouldn't realise you're not eating a meat sausage. They are just really lovely, loads of herbs, loads of spices, and absolutely gorgeous. But again, they're slightly more expensive, and like buying the meatballs, like the meatballs, the plant-based meatballs, they're going to be slightly more expensive. If you get the vegan burgers, again, they're going to be slightly more expensive. It's just what you have to expect. So that's why you have to try and, again, like I said, be more creative. So that's why we're trying to introduce a lot more veg into our diet and things like that. I mean, I've been trying to work out like a direct comparison in terms of, like, if I was to put the 5-bean chili next to a regular beef chili, what the difference would be. And I think they would pretty much work out to be the same price, because obviously you've got the tins of beans, like the different beans that you use, add them all together and it comes to about £3.50, I think, and that's probably how much you'd pay for the same amount of beef. But to me, I think because you have all that 5 tins of beans, you actually get a lot more. Like, it's a large pot. I did actually work, because I put it in my slow cooker, and I did actually worry when I first poured it in that there wouldn't be enough room in my slow cooker. Luckily there was, but and you do get a lot more. Like with the beef chili, me and my husband and my son could finish that off easily. We'd be very full afterwards, but we could finish off the beef chili easy enough. But when we have the 5-bean chili, we don't finish it. There's still quite a lot left, and what I will tend to do is have it with a jacket potato the next day, and it's absolutely delicious, with a bit of like vegan cheese sprinkled on top. Oh, so good. But yeah, so it's things like that. Like, I think you do get a lot more for your money, and like with the curry as well, like a butternut squash and a tin of chickpeas. Tin of chickpeas is like 70p, so cheap. Rather than if you buy like a pack of chicken for what, like 3-4 quid. So it's just little things like that that add up. Like I said, we were spending quite a lot, because when we were having to sort of stock up our spice cupboard because of all these different sauces I was trying to make. And that's what I think we need to sort out as well. Like I said, just try and not rely so much on these spices and all these sauces and stuff, and actually try and get back to basics, but not with meat involved, so to speak. So another thing as well, I think probably the two most obvious things for me in terms of what makes veganism more expensive is the milk and the cheese. Like I said, originally we were on soy milk, and it was Morrison's own soy milk, and it was like 80p for a litre, I think it was, which was quite reasonable. But it was okay in like your tea, but I wouldn't have it on my cereal, and it just left this residue in the bottom of your mug of tea, so it was just a bit not right. And sometimes I had a bit of an aftertaste. Like I couldn't have too many. Like I could have I'd have one cup of tea and then that would do me for quite a while. I couldn't have another soy tea because it just left this horrible residue in my mouth. But then there was a massive thing about Oatly milk, like everyone was talking about it everywhere, so we thought, oh, we'll give it a go. But it was £1.80 for a litre, so it's a whole pound more. And because we get through quite a lot, because we drink a lot of tea, I have my cereal as well, and like Bubs had his cereal and stuff, so we were buying quite a lot of it. So that's one of the biggest things, I think, in terms of having to budget for that. But the thing is, the milk is so nice that we don't want to change back to the soy milk. We want to keep with the Oatly milk, but it's just a matter of then finding ways to be cheaper elsewhere. And like I said, buying more fruit and veg and trying to have more of that in our diet rather than trying to have the replacements and things. It's I mean, we're getting there, but yeah, I just need to come up with a few more different ideas and more inspiration for what I can actually do for meal times, basically. And like I said, cheese, we tried it a couple of months ago when I said I was trying to be as dairy free as possible when I was breastfeeding, and again we tried, because Morrison's do their own vegan cheese, and we bought the block, and the block was terrible. It weren't nice at all, so that really put me off. But then I thought, for Veganuary I really want to try it again, so I think I tried I think they did Edam slices, and that was vile. I didn't like that at all. But they do a red Leicester cheese, and I actually really like that on my toast, so I'm still sticking to my cheese on toast. We've also tried Violife now, and I don't know if I'm like a massive fan of Violife. It's okay, it's creamy, it's more creamy than the Morrison's one, but it's just not got the flavour. So I think I'm going to go back to the Morrison's Red Leicester. And again, it's also because obviously Morrison's own label, it's a lot cheaper than Violife, I think. But even like Morrison's own, it's still quite expensive. I'm pretty sure I'll put like images up on this screen so you can see, but I'm pretty sure that the Red Leicester works out being £12 per kilogram of cheese, and dairy cheese is like half that price. So again, it's just that massive hill that we have to climb in terms of encouraging these companies to make more vegan cheese and to do more research to it so it tastes more cheese-like, but then also for other companies to then try it, so then there's more competition, which then will make them cheaper in general. So I think we've got a long way to go in terms of getting it so that it's the same price and as cheap as dairy cheese. But again, it's one of those things, and I think the more people that do it, then the more companies will listen. But again, I think they're the two biggest things that I've found that will be, I think, a challenge for people that are trying to be vegan on a budget. If you can't live without your tea and you can't live without your cheese, then you're going to struggle. But as someone actually shared on my Facebook a couple of weeks ago, I didn't actually read the article. I think I just saw the comment with the fact that cheese is actually addictive. There's an ingredient in dairy cheese that actually makes it addictive. So, and I kind of understand that now, in terms of, I was, oh no, it's just like vegan, what's the word, like vegan propaganda, trying to get people to think it's all a conspiracy and stuff like that. But after going a month without real cheese, because that was one of the main reasons I don't think I could go fully vegan, was I was just like, I'd miss cheese too much. And I don't miss it now. Like I said, I'm still buying vegan cheese and having that on my toast, and I'm fine with it. I think probably the one thing I do miss is like Italian hard cheese, like really strong, like Parmesan or Grana Padano and things like that what you'd sprinkle on your pasta. I think that's the sort of thing that I miss. We've tried nutritional yeast, which was recommended to me by a vegan friend. Like, sprinkle that over our pasta because it's meant to be, it's got like a cheesy flavour, but it's still not the same as dairy cheese. So I think that's probably the one thing that I like, the one cheese thing that I do miss. But again, in day-to-day life, when I'm just cooking meals at home, it's not something you really think about. You don't think, like, as you're eating this delicious pasta, you don't think like, oh, I really miss having the chicken and mozzarella and this is like with these meatballs or whatever. And like I said, with the 5-bean chili, it's not like, oh, I really miss having beef in this. You really, like, we've got to a point where we just don't miss it at all. But I don't think we really missed it at the beginning. I think that's, like, we were quite lucky in that we found it that easy at the beginning. It's more of a challenge when you go out. One, it's finding places that will do decent vegan options, but also options that aren't just ridiculously expensive. We're quite lucky where we are, where we have our local mall, which has a lot of restaurants, and quite a few of those restaurants do vegan options, like our favourite place, the Casco Lounge. They do a number of vegan stuff. I've tried their vegan hot dog, which was absolutely amazing. And there is where I got the inspiration for the sweet potato and lentil curry, because they did it for Veganuary. And I'm hoping that they keep it on their menu because it is just so nice, really, really nice curry. And Wagamama's has been really good as well at doing vegan options. I never tried their fake tuna because I'm a bit apprehensive of what it would taste like, and I don't like the thought, because they use watermelon, and I really don't think I'd like the thought of, I don't think psychologically I can get around the idea of having watermelon with my noodles. I'm a big fan of ramen, and I tried their vegan ramen, which had like fried tofu and roasted mushrooms and udon noodles, and it was absolutely delicious. Like the tofu was like crispy bits of fish, like it was really flaky, like when you ate it, it just melted in your mouth. It was lovely. And I'm a bit apprehensive of mushrooms as well, but these mushrooms were just, like, the way they were cooked and like the spices they were added into, it could have been like a bit of meat. It was like so tender and just so much flavour. So when I was saying to my husband earlier, I was like, I keep craving it every couple of days. I'm like, oh, I could really do with that vegan ramen. And also they do vegatsu, so their chicken katsu curry that is basically their staple. Every other person I think that goes in Wagamama's orders it. They do a seitan version, and seitan is obviously a really good meat replacement. And you have that, and it tastes just like having regular chicken. It's so nice, and I think that's roughly the same price as the chicken katsu. I'm not sure, I didn't actually look at the prices. Again, I'll probably put them along the side here. But yes, so a lot of the time we did actually find it quite easy, but then it depends where you go. Like if you go to your local cafe, I mean, my mum would go for a walk along the river, and there's like a small cafe up by on the waterside, and they don't have anything vegan. Literally the only thing I could have was like beans on toast or beans in a jacket potato, and obviously I have to make sure they don't put butter on either and stuff like that. So there's still a lot of work to be done in other places, and it makes it quite difficult for people who are trying to stick to it. So yeah, I think that's another big hurdle for us in terms of if we want to try and stick to it, getting used to places that or doing more research so we know places that will do stuff that we can eat. Our own personal sort of as a family view of Veganuary was a real like general success. Like I said, I think we still have a long way to go in terms of me doing more research and just finding more recipes, healthier meals that we can have during the week that might help me to lose weight and feel a bit healthier and things like that. But other than that, it's like I said, when we're at home, it's ridiculously easy for us to stay vegan. It's the challenge for us is going out, and that's where like I've slipped a few times. And also we have the whole thing of, because we have a lot of non-vegan stuff that was left over from Christmas. My husband tried to eat some of the chocolate, although I do think that was probably his fault for eating too much chocolate. He felt very sick to the point of like just really, like he had really bad sort of like stomach cramps, and he thinks that was because it was the first thing he'd had that was non-vegan for over a month, and he thinks he reacted badly to it. But I just think he just had too much chocolate when he's been off sugar and stuff for a month. So now it's fallen on me to eat everything that's non-vegan in the house. Oh my god, such a challenge. But again, like if I've gone anywhere, like out anywhere, and there's like there's not anything vegan really on the menu, I try to stay like vegetarian and things like that. But yeah, it's because it's not part of the challenge anymore. It's not a challenge. I've been a bit lax. But like I said, it's something I think we're working towards in terms of just getting used to these just having more things that we didn't tend to eat. Like I said, we've always been in previous videos I've said about the fact that we're really fussy with the fruit and veg that we eat, and I think Veganuary really opened our minds to different, like eating different things. Like I never bought chickpeas, never bought lentils before, never bought tofu, never bought butternut squash, never bought all these different vegetables, and it was just, we always had our staple things that we ate. But now I'm like looking at stuff in the fruit and veg aisles, and I'm just like, oh, I could give that a go and try that in this and try frying that and blah blah blah. So yeah, it's really opened our eyes in that sense, and actually making us realise that we do actually like these things. It's just we've psychologically been telling ourselves that we didn't. We probably had a bad experience with it in the past and just hell bent on the fact that we didn't like it. So yeah, so that's a nice surprise. And I think, and the other bigger hurdle obviously for us is just the money side of things, just trying to keep to a budget because we're on a single income, and we just have to make sure that we can fit it within our budget. But overall, we are sticking to it, like I said, as much as possible at home. So during the week, and my husband is doing really well at sticking to it when we do go out. Like if I'm like, oh, I don't fancy that one vegan option, he'll be like, no, I'll try it and see how I get on, and he tends to, mostly he enjoys it. So yeah, it's just a matter, I think I just have to again just be more open-minded and adventurous and try these things, and I'm pretty sure I will like them. I just need to get over that mental barrier still that I still have sometimes. But yeah, rather than that, we are getting on, like I said, really well with it, and we're going to stick to it as much as we can. But I also want to add as well that like I'm being all super positive and not like 100% positive on it, like I said, like money wise and my health wise. But there is a factor I think a lot of vegans don't tend to accept, and that's the fact that veganism isn't for everyone. Because since like just before Veganuary started, I was starting to hear a lot more about people that have tried to be vegan, but then, or they've been vegan for a number of years, but then something's happened and their body's just turned against them, sort of thing, and they just can't do that diet anymore. And like there's a really close friend of ours that we met on our honeymoon like 5 years ago. She'd been vegan for, I think it was like 10 years or something, and she'd done really well. She did it again diet wise. Obviously you have the whole thing of it being good for the environment, good for animals and everything. That was a bonus for her, but for her she mainly did it because she realised she felt a lot healthier. And over the last year she's been like hospital visits, doctor visits and stuff like that, because she was just in crippling pain all the time. And it turns out it was because she was on the vegan diet. Come off the vegan diet and she's slowly starting to feel better. So you've got things like that. There's other people I know who have tried to be vegan, again, health reasons and environmental, and because of the animals and stuff. And again, this is another American friend I know. Again, they tried it and it just, they felt lethargic, and there's like certain things that they, like ailments that they have that were just flaring up because of the veganism. Switched to pretty much a pure meat-based diet and they feel a lot better for it. And I know there was a video I watched that someone shared that was on YouTube about a woman that was vegan. I think she grew up vegetarian, I think, and then went vegan, and she was vegan for 15 years or something, and like her health just really fast like was deteriorating like rapidly. And I think the doctors said she was basically starving herself. They were saying vegan diet, or the vegan diet she was on, was a good detox for like a while, but then after a while it just starts, your body just goes into starvation mode. To be honest, I don't think she was on like a sort of decent vegan diet. I think she was just, it was literally like just drinking green smoothies every day and that sort of thing, so she probably wasn't doing it the right way. It's just having like salads every day. But because I mean, again, I know plenty of people that are vegan and are as healthy as can be. So again, I think it's just one of those things, some people just can't, or don't. If I think it's more research and people again having that variety and just being more experimental with what they try. There's also a YouTuber that we watch called Imo and Izzy. It's a British mum and her teenage daughter, and she's been veggie most of her life, the mum, but she decided she wanted to try and go vegan. And I think she stayed it, and this wasn't for Veganuary, because I thought she was, when we started watching, when she mentioned it, I thought she was going to do it for Veganuary, but she actually did it in December, and she lasted 2 weeks, and it was just, she suffered from like severe bloatings, crippling stomach pains, and like in the end she just had to stop. And she says she tries to be as vegan as she can, because obviously she was vegetarian anyway, but she said there's just something that she was eating that just was not agreeing with her. And she did some research, and she said, like, again, and that's another issue in terms of, you just don't know what to believe when you're doing your research, because obviously you'll talk to some people and they just think that you have to have meat, you have to have dairy products, you have to have eggs in your diet, because as humans it's what we need. But then on the other side you have the fact that like we can get all the stuff that we get from these animal products purely from plant-based products, but we just don't get the specific ones that we do from there. And yeah, it's just, they've all got their own agenda at the end of the day, so I think you just have to kind of be very careful with what you believe. But when she, like, again, when she and this is what this Imogen was basically saying, she was just trying to be as cynical as she could with like the anti-vegan stuff and then with the extreme vegan stuff. And what she thought was most likely was that if people have had a lot of antibiotics during their lifetime, it can mess with your gut flora and just like the balance of chemicals or whatever in your, and like bacteria in your stomach, and that can affect how you would react to that sort of change in your diet. So if you have grown up like living off antibiotics whenever you get ill or anything like that, you might not find that veganism works for you. Or if you've had like different drugs like throughout your life, that yeah, you react badly to certain things in a vegan diet. So that's what she says. She had a lot of antibiotics growing up, just like for different illnesses and ailments and different things like that. And she thinks, like, to her that makes sense. So I don't know if a lot of research has been done into it, but that could be something. But I do think that power to her to actually sort of like, or props to her to actually be trying this stuff and actually seeing, at least she tried, sort of thing. Not saying that like you guys are assholes because you don't try, but even if like you try like one dish, like I said, like try it, like I just think it's worth just taking like your favorite meal that you like cooking and just mixing it up a bit and just taking out the animal products, adding different plant-based products to it, and just see what you think. I mean, it is a bit difficult if like your favourite meal is steak and chips, because vegan steak isn't exactly great. But again, like, yeah, just trying to find these different things and just trying it. I do think it's worth a try, and I'm glad we did it, like I said, because it has really changed how, not only our mindset, like how we think about the food that we eat, but also it's changed our habits. So I'm not looking, like when I go to a restaurant, I'm not straight looking at like the chicken or the steak or the burger or anything. Not that I'm a big fan of burgers, but that's what my husband used to do. He used to go straight for a burger. So but now he's going for vegan burgers because mostly that's what the only vegan option that's available. I just think it's worth people just trying and just seeing if there's anything that they can find, even if it's just one meal a week that you do vegan. It's something, and I think that's what a lot of people just aren't that motivated to actually try it. And I think if they did, it might actually change their minds quite a bit. And yeah, in terms of, I just wanted to close this video. It's probably going to be quite a lot of footage for me to edit, so hopefully it's not going to be too long a video. But overall, yeah, it's like I said, I'm glad that it's worked for us in terms of it's changed our habits, and it's it's also good for our son because he's trying all these different things, and he's healthy, because a lot of people will be like, how dare you put your child through veganism and stuff. But I mean, he still eats meat. It's not like we're forcing him to just be purely vegan. But when he's at home with us, he mainly eats what we eat because he was baby led weaned anyway. But if there isn't an option that we think he'll like, then he probably will have meat, like the ready meals that we can get in the baby ready meals might have meat in or cheese in and stuff like that. But he has like cheese on toast like me, but he has regular cheese because I don't think he would like vegan cheese, and also it's really expensive. So. And he has his own yogurts because I haven't found any kid yogurts that aren't dairy based. That might just be like where we shop, they just don't have those sort of options, I don't know. But again, we don't want him to have those options taken away from him. We want it to be his choice, so he can have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and he can decide when he's older if he wants to stick to purely plant-based or if he wants to have animal-based. But then he will understand that having animal products is not as good for the environment as having plant-based products, and that's the message we're trying to give him. And I think overall at the moment, if you do try and go vegan, it is, like everyone says, it is good for the environment, because the amount of water used to make dairy milk is a lot more than making plant-based milk. And obviously you've got the whole thing of like how much pollution cows cause, how much like deforestation is going on to provide land for livestock, although you have the same issue with soya plantations and things like that. So people can't deny the fact that going plant-based is better overall for the environment at the moment, and this is kind of where I'm a bit cynical about the whole thing, because like I said, you do have like deforestation happening because people are trying to create more land for more livestock, but you also have the thing with soya plantations and like avocados and things like that, and like coconuts. I was reading just how if we're all eating all these sort of things, if they become more popular, I mean obviously it's good, it will get to a point where obviously the pollution that we cause just goes down, but then if everyone on the planet was to go vegan, it would all just climb back up again, because you're always going to have factory farming, whether it's with animal products or plant-based products. And you still, like I said, you still have, because not everyone is going to do the whole thing of eating more fruit and veg. They are going to go for the meat replacements. If they are saying, right, fine, I'll go vegan, like say they were to make eating animals illegal tomorrow, people would still do like seitan or like different things like that to make up for the fact they can't eat meat. But there's so much process and stuff that goes into making all this stuff that it would be just as bad as if, like with making animal products. Like I said, there'll still be factory farming, there'll still be deforestation, because they have to supply, because it's all about supply and demand. And yeah, to be what I'm basically saying is we're fucked either way. Because we're just like, it's just, this planet is just so overpopulated that just no matter what we do, either way, either extreme, it's going to lead to sort of devastation and just deforestation and just all terrible things. The only way that we could actually save the planet is if everyone went self-sustainable. Everyone had their own plot of land that they could grow their own veg, or their own chickens that could lay eggs and things like that. So to me, at this very moment in time, we're the generation, or this particular, like, and the next few generations are the people that can be making some form of a difference in terms of, like I said, eating more plants, just not eating as much meat. And I think that's the problem, is that the planet we're on right now, everyone just eats too much meat. We've become too reliant on animal-based foods, having animal sort of products in our day-to-day lives and things like that, and it's, yeah, we've just become too reliant on it, and people need to change their habits. I mean, that's a difference that we want to make. We want to pass on to our son and any other future children that we have, that we have to do our little bit to make up for the fact that we're actually here and breathing and living on this planet. We have to try and make as little impact as possible. Or if we are going to make an impact, make it a positive one. So to pass on that message and to be as loud as you can, but not to the extreme that people will just be like, oh, go away, you're fanatic. I think it's something that we owe to like the future generations, that we have to start making a difference now. Otherwise, what's going to be left? And I know there's a lot of people out there that are just like, well, I don't like kids anyway, and we're all fucked, so whatever. But I care about my son and the planet that he's living on right now, and that we're all living on. So, you know, I want to make that little bit of a difference that I can, and show to him that we all need. If we all make a little bit of a difference, then it leads to a massive change, and hopefully it proves to companies, the big dollar companies out there, that people do want to see a difference. Especially companies like Coca-Cola at the moment, who I think they did like a conference, an environmental conference recently, and basically said that they're not going to look into changing their plastic bottles, their single-use plastic bottles, because people are still buying them. So when you have arsehole companies like that, they're a perfect example of, we need to speak with our money and our wallets, and we need to stop buying from these arsehole companies who just won't change because they're making too much money from it. So anyway, I'm going to end the video here because I think I've just made it too long. But if you have any questions or any issues you want to raise with my video, then please just comment below. I'm more than happy to start a discussion on it. I will do a separate video on things other than food that we've done vegan wise, because I think that just deserves its whole other video altogether. But yeah, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, share with your friends, do whatever, just share the love. Anyway, love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.